Hello, everyone, and welcome to the preview show for Gameweek 22. I'm Chris. Kieran's here too.
How are you? All right.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
all right.
good. Thank
Feels
you.
like it's really off the cuff already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a very sort of short show tonight because it's a quick game week turnaround. We've obviously got games tonight with Man United, Southampton, Ipswich, and Brighton all taking part. And yeah, we thought we'd just do a little show, have a little catch up, and then see how we're doing heading into this weekend. We're going to do quite a bit of focus on the double game week teams because since we last did a show, Everton and Liverpool have had their double game week announced. So we're going to talk, which is in game week 24. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of their assets, aren't we? And just have a look at some captaincy options for this game week too. So yeah, should we talk about the points so far or lack of points so far this game week?
Yeah, is mine up on the screen? Yeah, so yeah, another red arrow so far. Not catching any breaks at the moment. Saar finally got some points. Gordon's ownership is nice and low, well, ish anyway. Getting some points and Hall coming in. I was tempted by that Trent benching for Cucurella, but Trent actually did end up scoring more. But Robertson last on the bench, just like Rodgers points on the bench again. Managed to basically captain the one guy that blanked, other than Trent and Gabriel whenever in the running for captaincy. So yeah, Jackson continuing to be crap. Should have just got Wood ages ago, I guess. And then yeah, I've got two tonight in Pedro and Verbruggen. Not expecting much. But there's people with obviously Bruno and Ahmad and United defenders who I'm probably expecting more from. So I'm expecting the red arrow to get even worse. So yeah, it's I was like 20k a good few weeks ago. It's like 180k live at the moment, and it's I expect it to get worse. So I don't know. That's a rough downfall, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really know why it's happened either. I feel like there isn't too many players who are from outside the pack that you don't have. Like you've had Newcastle while they were doing quite well. Maybe it's Jackson,
I was late onto Isak, I think it was.
Yeah.
Because I sold him for Jackson at the time. And then I got late back onto him. Gordon came in quickly. It's just like Saar instead of like Mbuemo, and then it's the funds sort of on the bench that have just like been spread out, so I couldn't afford Mbuemo. And then it's not having Chris Wood all this season, I guess, which is mental to think about really. But yeah.
And you're right, another week where just because how strong your squad is, you've bench points. Yeah, a lot of them as well.
Yep.
Yeah, really tricky. I mean, I'm having a worse game with you. Like I talked on the show last week, and like I had my bus team was on Palmer. I was really talking it up, and you I remember you were like, I haven't even considered captaincy, and I'm like, I've been thinking about Palmer all week, and then I feel like we talked about it quite a lot. We were both on Palmer, and then just on the day before, I was just like, am I overthinking it? Just not going Salah, and he's only had 2 blanks all season. And I watched a bit of that Forest game, and even within the first half, I was like, it doesn't feel like he's going to return here. And even though he had that like chance cleared off the line, in hindsight, it was a risk captaining him against like a really good informed team. So yeah, a bit stupid really. And I think that's probably the main reason for the red arrow. Like I'm like 10 points behind the green. So
if Isak didn't have the yellow, would we have gone there? Possibly. The 70 odd minutes wasn't ideal, obviously for captainers, but 16 points is pretty big this week for anyone who did captain him. He was obviously over 100% ownership, so was Palmer at my rank. So I think both of them returning massively hurt me too. So they did that. It sucked, and I think that's probably the main difference really. And my team's not too different from yours, but last week I was thinking about maybe getting Hall for Castagna, and that would have I was a bit worried about not owning him, and obviously that backfired. Castagna managed to get 0 points, which is big variance to Robinson on the other side. Huge,
which I was a bit disappointed about, but can't really do anything about that. Fulham just gave away goals. Like Leno passed the ball out to 2 West Ham attackers for 2 of their goals. I was like, oh come on, man. And then he got a yellow card as well. And it's funny because I've loved having Milenkovic and played him for weeks and weeks. And I don't know, I just expected Liverpool to score like maybe 2 goals And yeah, to bench him for Castagna just seemed like a bit of a mistake. So yeah, I might sell Castagna this week and get Hall, and might be benching Trent this week at Brentford just because.
Yeah, I'm tempted by that too.
It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, he's just, apart from that huge mega haul against West Ham, he's not been doing that well recently. And Hall is on a run, and I feel like his effective ownership is creeping up. Right, well, let's have a little chat, shall we? About the double game week. I'm just going to pull up on screen here. I think, should we start with Everton players first? And obviously we've got Moyes as a new manager. It didn't really have much difference, and I thought it was interesting after the game and the comments he came up with last night, that like he's like that we've got a good core group of players here that have done well under Sean Dyche, but we need more. So like already after one game, he's already sort of criticising the squad and obviously the recruitment a little bit, because they have just been woeful, haven't they? Like from an attacking point of view, really. And then recently, yeah, the defensive performances were good against the big teams, but yeah, in these games where they were hoping to pick up points, they have not been it.
Yeah, Calvert-Lewin came straight back in, got 90 minutes. Yeah, so I guess he's going to be the favourite for going up top. Instead of Beto or whatever. So, and he was getting sort of rough minutes most of the time, wasn't he? He wasn't always starting and things like that. So, I think he's obviously the favourite of Moyes. Was Calvert-Lewin there when Calvert-Lewin had that really good season? Was that when Moyes was there? I can't remember.
Don't think it would have. No, because he was there like 11 years ago.
Probably like Ancelotti, something like that, maybe.
Been,
Like it could have been anyone, to be honest. They've had so many managers, haven't they? But yeah, like the fixtures are what, like Spurs, Brighton, like Leicester, and then Liverpool. Like it's okay, I guess. But if anyone really wants to go there again, I mean, it's scary. Sort of issues, isn't it? Like I guess you could go from João Pedro to him, like someone like me could do that. Like what's João Pedro's fixture in the blank? Yeah, Forest away. So that kind of it kind of does make sense to go from Pedro to Calvert-Lewin just to see what happens. To be honest,
I think it's.
What do you reckon on that?
I think it's so difficult. Well, having owned Calvert-Lewin already this season, it's painful. And I was actually having a look just in Brentford to talking about it tonight, but like he has not scored any. I think he scored one attacking return at Wolves in Gameweek 14. He's got 4 all season, and I owned him from Gameweek 6 to like 12, and it was just painful. I think that from an attacking point of view, Everton are just absolutely woeful. I need to check the XGC numbers, but they've scored 1 goal in their last 6 games. Now, admittedly, there was Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City and Forest in there, but like 1 goal in 6 games is it's such a worry. And even before that, if you stretch it back a little bit longer, since game week 10, I think they had, let's call it a freak 4-0 home win against Wolves, and then they scored that goal against Man City. So they've scored 5 goals since game week 10. That's nuts. That's like 11 games they've scored 5 goals. So yeah, their attack is really not enticing me for this double game week at all.
And everyone was buying McNeil back in the day as well. He was like one of the top midfielders to bring in from like early season, like where he was getting 6, 12, 2, and 15, and everyone bought him in, and he's done nothing since.
I know. Well, he's been injured for quite a little while now, but
true, but
he's not looking good. So I feel like for the double game week, it's really hard, especially the fixtures around it, to have any investment in Spurs, in Everton, but they do have like a good game against Spurs this weekend.
I mean, you've got Pickford already, so you're obviously set up there. Would you suggest any of the defence coming forward?
I think, well, we were talking about for your situation when you've got too much for bulky defence, what Milenko does offer you, even though I did read today that they've been looking at Chilwell from Chelsea on loan, that Milenko at 4.3 million does seem like, he's a reliable 90-minute player, and they have got a good defence. And I would expect, given how poor Leicester were in that, or have been recently in that double game week, they will, I'd say it's quite likely they keep a clean sheet in that game. So if you were getting a clean sheet and, maybe a point in the second game, he's not too bad if you're sort of moving funds around your squad. So I don't mind Milenko from their defence, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, for someone like me, he's got Cucurella on 5.2 million down to Mikalenko. That's a decent, what's 9.9 saving ish. So that's not bad. Like that helps a lot, to be honest. And he can just be benchable for basically every week,
Yeah.
bar that double. And then yeah, other than that, like he hasn't got any good fixtures after that, really. So you'd probably be looking to wildcard him out eventually.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, you probably would take the punt on one defender for that Leicester game and just see what, like, the Liverpool game, like, is often quite,
It'd be tight. Yeah.
cagey in sort of in Liverpool derbies or Everton. What should I say? Merseyside derbies. So it's often quite like a 0-0 is fairly on the cards quite often. So to me, one defender seems like a fine choice. I mean, I wouldn't be going more than one player from Everton, I don't think.
No.
So it's either Mikalenko or whoever else, Tarkowski maybe, but he's a bit more expensive, isn't he? Yeah, or Pickford, and then or Calvert-Lewin, and that's probably about it. There's no options in the midfield, is there?
Well, part of my reason for getting rid of Flecken before, I thought he was injured, and now ironically he's scored more in Pickford than the 3 games I've got him. But yeah, I was thinking that Dyche and Everton for the foreseeable, Pickford would have some good fixtures. Obviously, he's now lost his job. Moyes will be a bit different. Everton have not been that convincing. He's scored like 1 point in 2 of the last 3 games. But I think having a goalkeeper and save points against Liverpool is not like the end of the world. I don't really fancy like Alisson in that position, and Pickford seems fine. And I think with goalkeepers we've seen this season, the upside with them is so small. Like, I thought Sells had like a magnificent. I know this is a bit of a sideways tangent, but Sells had like a magnificent game against Liverpool. Obviously didn't keep a clean sheet, made some great saves, just nowhere near any bonus points. And I think it's really tricky for keepers to sort of justify. I know they're cheap, but justify a pick. But yeah, Pickford I'd probably prefer over Alisson in the double and the games around it. But I think a defender who you're gonna as a squad player is fine, but I'm just looking at the fixtures now. So they've got Leicester at home in Gameweek 24, obviously part of the double, which is fine and good, and that's kind of fallen nicely for them. But the rest of the games, you just couldn't see a clean sheet in any of them. Spurs this weekend, maybe, because Spurs are like teetering on, firing Postecoglou.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're like a bit of crisis at the moment. So
yeah, it's possible.
that's a maybe. Brighton away, no. Liverpool obviously is tight. Palace away is starting to play well. United are playing well. Brentford score goals. Wolves with Cunha back. So the only like game you might play him in again is West Ham in game week 29. And I think most wildcards this season we played around game week, or the second wildcards we played around game week 30. So yeah, I think for a cheapish player, I think he's probably the best.
He's probably fine to just stick on the bench anyway. Like if he has to come on against Palace or like Brentford or something, then so be it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So who do you think you're going to go for then? Are you going to load up on at least one Everton player?
I think I'll probably just get Mikalenko eventually for one of my sort of more expensive bench defenders. So Cucurella probably is going to be the one to go because his fixtures are sort of drying up too. So it would be him to Mikalenko. I think makes sense to me.
Yeah, nice. I'm just having a look at the last 4 game weeks, game week 18 to 21. The highest points per game average of the Everton players. Ndiaye, the other striker, who's 5.4 million, has got 3.8 points per game, and Pickford 3.7, and then Calvert-Lewin 2.2. So none of them are like doing anything exciting. So not many fantasy options there. All right, should we move on to Liverpool and talk about their options? We had a message in the chat from DJ said, "What do you guys think about Diogo Jota from this week?" Which I quite like, to be honest. It's so tricky. Like, we've got Liverpool's schedule here, so this is probably around. If I just bring up the fixtures here and then around the double.
Sorry, what did you say? You cut out then.
Just saying about Liverpool's fixtures. So I was just going to bring up what they've got now,
right?
And
Okay.
And then what they've got. So they've obviously got Brentford this weekend, Ipswich, and then so after the Ipswich game, which is game week 23, they've got PSV away on the 29th. Then after that, they've got Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth away, which is the first part of the double on the 1st. 5 days later, they've got Spurs at home in the EFL Cup second leg. 2 days later after that, they've got Plymouth away in the FA Cup, where you'd expect a big rotated team.
Yeah.
And then 4 days after that, they've got Everton away game. So it's really unusual for a double game week that Liverpool are going to be playing 2 fixtures in between the first and the second game. So obviously the chance of injury rotation is much higher in this double than others. So I think trying to pick those surefire starters is obviously going to be, key to doing well. And I think probably brings me back to DJ's original point. I think the problem with most of the other Liverpool attackers, bar Salah, is you're just not going to get the minutes from them.
Yeah, it's almost going to be impossible to judge that. You probably need to see, like, I don't know, who starts the Bournemouth away one, and then you probably think that's the first team, and then they'll get rotated, the Jotas and whoever else that come in for the Plymouth one. But then, is Jota going to start to push into the first team? So, and I think it's impossible to say. I think you either just punt on one and just hope they get, maybe like 90 minutes across the both or across two, or you just go Van Dijk, I guess, or Alisson, I suppose, and you stick with 2 defence. It's Bournemouth away and Everton away. It's just like Bournemouth away doesn't seem like a clean sheet particularly,
no.
Although it could be, obviously. And then the Everton away, you'd probably think there's something there at least. So maybe double defense is probably the safer way to go, but it's the ceiling is obviously much lower. It's really just impossible to say. I think we've just got to look out for who starts, and just, if you want to go double attack and push it, then just pick one and hope for the best, I guess. Like, that's all you can do. It's Salah, Trent plus whoever else.
I'm just having a look at the clean sheets, because it feels like they've dropped off a little bit recently, and they're not.
Well, they have, yeah.
Yeah, it does back up. So in the first 10 game weeks, they had 5 clean sheets, and then in the subsequent 11, they've only had 3 against West Ham away, City at home, and Aston Villa at home. And they have been unexpectedly leaky, like the Leicester home game, Man United home game, and perhaps even like the Fulham home game, but maybe that was red card related. Yeah, they've been having a few like bonkers games, and Tottenham away and Newcastle away, they both conceded 3 goals. So their defence hasn't been that tight recently, and that kind of puts me off Van Dijk a little bit. Like, you're right, he's probably the most reliable minutes option after Salah, Alisson as well. So there's like reliability there, but I don't know how explosive either of those picks are.
I mean,
for a double game.
What about the spicy one that you mentioned the other day? Are you gonna talk about him?
I like McAllister. I mean, I think maybe a bit shocked, but if I look at the last 4 game weeks from just recent form and sort Liverpool players by their points per 90 minutes, McAllister comes up 4th of all players. So Salah's top, Gakpo is 2nd, who admittedly probably is the most exciting pick, but there's definitely going to be rotation across the front 3 now that Jota's back. I think Gakpo, Jota, Diaz, and maybe to a lesser extent Darwin, because Darwin will probably play that Plymouth game, are all going to be just jostling for minutes. But yeah, McAllister, he's probably not like a super exciting pick, but he's the 4th highest points per 90 minutes of all Liverpool players in the last 4 game weeks. So ahead of Trent, who obviously had that 15-point mega haul, ahead of Diaz. Yeah, he's done fairly well from a XA point of view. I think if I saw, I've just got Liverpool players up in front of me now, but if I saw by XA, he's the 3rd of all players, and big chances created. I think he's 2nd after Salah. So I think if he's going to start both games, which I think is probably quite likely, I wouldn't back against him. Just at least I think he's going to get 5 points, a clean sheet against Everton, 2 points against Bournemouth. And I think he could chip in with 1 assist. He makes enough key passes to potentially get some bonus on the back of that. So I think he could get like 8 to 10 points in the double. So I just think he seems like not an option not many people are talking about. And to me, he seems like reliable, and he's making chances. I mean, he got 2 assists in that United home game and 2 assists in the Leicester home game. So I think for like less than 2% ownership, he seems quite a nice player. And
6.22 million, so fairly pricey, I guesse, for a sort of defensive mid, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And but he's that sort of pitches him at the same price point as a Semenyo, Ahmad, Rogers, and your mate Sarr as well. So like he could be like a really quick in and out or like price point position for anyone that's got that midfielder who isn't like me confident on like a double Liverpool defence. Just think he seems like.
I mean, Jones' minutes have kind of like dropped off a little bit too, so definitely. He's not been performing as well. Whereas he looked like he might have been a decent shout for a while because he was getting, goals, assists, and stuff. So he was chipping in, but his minutes have dropped off like a cliff, unfortunately. Yeah. So he's probably not there one to go for.
No,
I mean Gakpo, I guess, is probably a good option, but like you said, I think out of the three, him, Diaz, and Darwin, they're probably all going to, four actually, Jota as well, so they're probably all going to rotate. And I guess should we talk about like chips to use then?
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Are you going to play your triple?
Yeah,
Salah? Or are you thinking about the assistant manager instead?
No, I think. I mean, this was definitely a wider like view of this, but like my vague plan at the moment is going to be it's triple captain this game week. In the double game week on Salah, and obviously we'll go into this in more detail as we get towards it. But I think wildcard 30 seems about the right sort of time to do it. I'm going to sort of save transfers for any blanks in 29 and just transfer my way through that. Bench boost in 33 when it looks like we might have the first of some double game weeks, so that'll be quite close to the wild card. And then I think there might be a reason to free hit in game week 34 because it looks like there might be some more doubles in that one. And then I think, because it might be fun, assistant manager from game week 36, where there also might be a double game week, to 38, because I think there's more chance in those last 3 game weeks of some upsets and to hit those like manager bonuses. So that's roughly what I think seems like a good idea at the minute. What about you?
I mean, I've not looked that far, but that seems quite good. I mean, a lot of people are looking at 29 for free hit possibly because there's a distinct possibility of Newcastle and Palace. I think blanking. Can't remember who else it was, but those 2 teams, a lot of people have got assets from them, and they've got good fixtures as well. So it's not going to be the case that you're going to want to get rid of them particularly. I've got triple Newcastle. I've got 1 Palace. I'll probably end up getting 2. Like Munoz has been getting points lately as well. So that would be something I would likely consider because, but a free hit at 34 if there's another double is probably going to be, you'd guess, a better choice of that. But it depends what your wild card is going to look like around then if it's still got enough doublers. So just something to keep an eye on if 29 is going to be something your team can't handle.
It's almost
basically.
Also, I was going to say it's almost worked out quite well. Newcastle did so well because the other, probably both are well selected, but the other game would have been Arsenal-Chelsea in 29 as well. So that one probably goes ahead. But that will mean that Newcastle, Palace, who have got like affordable players, will then likely get a double in game week. I think it can potentially be 33 when you could bench boost with some cheaper assets on the bench.
True. Yeah, good point.
Sorry, what were you going to say about
I was just going to say, so triple captain wise, obviously loads of people did it for Haaland in game week 2 and obviously went really well. Obviously this situation is is Salah 2 really good fixtures, but there's all those matches in between. So it's obviously comes with a lot of risk for the triple captain because he could end up getting injured and he could miss the second game and that could skew with the whole triple captain thing. But I think it's he's usually pretty reliable for not getting injured. Well, he has been this season at least, and he's playing 90 minutes all the games other than the ones that he's just rotated completely out for. So it probably makes sense, doesn't it? Because they're probably not going to get a better double if they even do get another double this season. And Salah is obviously the most informed player in the game, other than this week. So it makes sense, doesn't it? Really.
I think one of the other reasons I quite like it this week is it looks like it's going to be the smallest double game week of the season. So whereas like with bench boost, free hit, and the other ones, it always feels like there's multiple teams to just flesh out a squad or flesh out a team. Whereas this one, Everton are basically a no-go apart from maybe one player. So it's unlikely, I think, that you're going to do like a bench boost on that or free hit. So
yeah, good point.
And assistant manager's probably like the only other good chip this game week. Like if you could play double slot and then someone afterwards, I don't know who, but yeah, I just think triple.
I don't think it is though, really.
What
do you like? It's just, no, the assistant manager, like its slot is just assuming they're still at the top of the league. He's not going to get any bonus for any like beating teams 5 places above him or whatever. So he's not going to get any of that. So he needs to get a ton of goals in each of the games, and we're expecting the Everton one to be slightly close. And is there going to be definitely 2 clean sheets in those? Probably not. No. So it's thinking slot for 1.5 million of your budget. That's a chunk that you're taking out, and it's probably the ceiling on it is probably going to be pretty low, to be honest. I think he'd probably get you like 10 points. I reckon, maybe something like that, and that's just not worth it, is it? There's probably going to be better times later in the season.
I do think if I was going to, for me, in just ranking it, I think triple captain most powerful in 24, and then the next chip, if I was going to play another one that wasn't triple captain, it would maybe be assistant manager. But like I say, I think I quite fancy playing that 36 when there might be a double 37, then game week 38, and just have quite a fun chip to have on the last day of the season.
Yeah. Let me see. Well, my team at the moment is obviously quite set up for a bench boost, you'd expect, because there's so much funds everywhere. So I'm trying to look at the fixtures for those players that I have on my bench in 24. So Fulham have got, Robertson has got Newcastle away, which is not great. Cucurella has got, where is he? Chelsea. I can't even see this. West Ham at home, which is okay. And then Rodgers, I guess. Rodgers/Sarr. Sarr's got Man United away, and then Rodgers has Wolves away. So it's not the worst. And I've got Fabianski against Chelsea away. So I guess that doesn't seem great, does it? Because it's only one game, and probably not bench boostable.
No, I think pitching it towards one of the chunky doubles, which is still like really unclear at the moment because it relies on FA Cup games to be sorted out, as well as these League Cup games. Like for all we know, Spurs could come back and Spurs could hold on and beat Liverpool, but most of the models at the moment predict Liverpool still winning at home, which I think probably I agree with. But Spurs could win, Arsenal could come from behind at Newcastle, although both events are like deemed unlikely. It could, like, stranger things have happened. So yeah, I'm just gonna finally say on Gakpo, because you mentioned him about Liverpool. I was having a look, thinking in my mind that he hasn't actually started as much as he had. But if I bring up his starts, he's basically started every game, although he's only completed 2 of them. He started every game since game week 12. So that's a run of 9 games at the moment. So he's been actually quite regular, and maybe that's partly due to Yotta's injury. But he has been quite consistent. But
the minutes are a worry, just coming off early and stuff, aren't they? Yeah.
But I do like it's probably a boring pick, but I just like the idea of McAllister. And Sloboslai seems to get injured a lot, whereas I think McAllister's first choice midfielder after Gravenbach and has got slightly more attacking threat.
Yeah, and it seems with Diaz, he kind of has like a run of 3 games where he starts and then he gets benched one, and then he'll start a couple again in a row and it will get benched one. So, if he's on his after his benching, so maybe around, if he gets benched, Ipswich at home, maybe you think you could bring him in for those 2. That wouldn't be the worst. And if he's starting up front, possibly. Then great. But if Jota's in the team, then he probably won't be starting up front. But at the same time, Gakpo will probably just play on the left, and if he is going to start, then he'll be up front, I guess. So,
yeah, I think it's like Liverpool of old, really. It's just having like Salah is obviously by far and away the best option, and then trying to pick like another striker is going to be difficult. So, and at the moment I don't trust the defense. So, yeah,
we don't have the nailed on second attacker in Mane anymore. No. So we've
lost that. All right, well, should we do just quick preview of our teams before wrapping up, because the games
Sure.
to get to tonight. We've probably got team sheets coming out soon. Not that we've got much to get
Indeed.
excited about tonight.
No.
You can do your team first if you like.
Yeah, so I've not really set it up completely yet, but Verbruggen in goal, Trent, Gabriel, and Hall. I'll be looking at possibly benching Trent maybe for Cucurella. Wolves at home, and then Robson also has Leicester away, which I would quite like to play him for. So that seems quite good. But then I got Salah captain at the moment, Sarr, Gordon, and Palmer, and then João Pedro. Man United away seems like a good fixture on paper, but maybe he would be the one that gets benched to allow Robinson to play or something. And then Isaac at Bournemouth at home, Jackson, Wolves at home. So I'll probably be leaving Jackson in for another week just for until he ends this run of fixtures really. And then I'm probably going to end up rolling again, I think, to be honest. So I'll have 4 free transfers.
Wow.
And then I will probably start to do Cucurella to Mikolenko next week. And then, I'll probably play, if Fabianski looks like he's going to start, which he did start the last game, I'll probably play him against Crystal Palace at home. Makes sense, rather than Verbruggen at United away. So, the team probably picks itself really, other than just that, do I play Trent or not decision.
It's funny. It's like another week where the team looks like really good in the lineup. So how you're dropping ranks, I don't know. And I think the bench
just the wrong benching decisions. Something will change there. I think I want to play Cucurella and Robinson, but I probably don't want to back 4. But maybe I bench Gabriel and Trent. That would be ridiculous.
It's really difficult. And captaincy, and we obviously both stuck with Salah night before last, but it feels like everyone's going to go back to him this week based on how open Brentford were again against City. Do you think Salah's got another good I can see you got the vice captaincy on Palmer Monday night game. Does that make any difference in your mind?
I don't know. It could be Palmer, it could be Isaac, it could be Salah. So it could be all of those again, couldn't it? Between those 3. Salah probably has the worst fixture on paper, I guess, because he's away. And then Bournemouth at home is difficult. Bournemouth are a good team at the moment, so is Isaac going to outscore a lot
as well?
Okay, so don't go there. So it's probably Palmer or Salah. What do you think? I'm not sure.
I think just based on how I feel Brentford have been at home this season, they seem to have crazy games. It's always open. Brentford attack and usually score, which is kind of making me lean towards benching Trent this week, which seems nuts. But I might do it for Hall. I think it's between Palmer and Salah. Again, I was a bit regretful, obviously, because it didn't turn out. But Palmer obviously had his fantastic goal, really nice finish, and he set up a really good chance for Jackson, who missed it. But apart from that, he was fairly quiet, especially in that second half. So. Yeah, and Chelsea obviously dropped points again. I felt Wolves were okay against Newcastle, and maybe with Cunha starting there'll be a problem. So I don't know. Palmer's been doing well points wise without Chelsea been doing well, and obviously that's a good sign for fantasy. But I don't know if it's a sign to keep backing him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's probably so then, I guess.
Yeah, I just think Bournemouth were poor defensively. Not Bournemouth. Brentford are pretty poor defensively, so makes sense to go for him.
I just hope he's not his form has just clicked and it's clicked the wrong way. Hopefully.
Well, it's 2 blanks in a row now with that Spurs game as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but no, I think I'm going to continue backing him. His XG was 0.47, which is still pretty high for Salah in that game. My team's quite similar this week. What are the differences? I got Milenkovic instead of Hall, and I kind of backed them hopefully to keep a clean sheet against Southampton. I've got Mbuemo rather than Sarr, and I think given we just talked about how open Liverpool have been, and obviously scored 2 against City, which maybe isn't a surprise, but I think Mbuemo has got a good chance of returns. He's just spread the load out after his 19 points. He's now having a few weeks off, which is fair enough. Yeah, I think the team looks all right. Isak, like you, Pedro, interesting to see if he starts. I do kind of still look at Mateta and think Crystal Palace seem to be coming into some form.
Sure.
And he's looking good. We know he's on pens, but what's kind of put, and I think West Ham have conceded the second most amount of chances after Leicester in the last 4 game weeks. So I think that game's going to be open. And now he's got 2 back-to-back goals, and he's also got Brentford at home afterwards. I think, yeah, Mateta still looks good. So if Pedro's out tonight and we get like news that he's also going to miss the weekend's game, I might get Mateta.
Well, I think he's been training, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, so. I seeing Wood there makes me tempted to just do Jackson to Wood, and then I probably could afford to do Pedro up to Mateta then, which would be pretty interesting. Yeah. I quite like that team as a team, as a strike force of 3 forwards there.
You're still getting like 90-minute penalty takers in Mateta and Wood.
Or we assume Mateta, yeah. But yeah. So, yeah, it seems quite good, doesn't it? To be fair, and but it's more spreading of funds, I guess. But...
Yeah. And the only transfer I'm thinking of making this week, which is a maybe, and it's probably not do it. Like I look at Hall, and I just think he's such a great player. Like I want to have him in my team, but it's like a benching headache because him and Milenkovic, who's obviously served me really well, pretty much have the same home fixtures.
And then just bench Trent.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd get rid of Castagna, get Hall, maybe bench Trent, but I don't know, 7 million on the bench. I'd maybe bench Pedro.
But then you have to keep Trent as well because of the double, don't you? So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd maybe bench Pedro for Hall and just hope that he has a quiet game. So, yeah, I might do that. But, yeah, not really sure yet. And we'll see.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up, doesn't it? We still managed to get 45 minutes of chatting, and we've got games tonight.
Rambling. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll be back normal time next Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, hopefully.
To preview some more action in Game Week 23. Yeah, cool. All right. Until then, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next time.